Very excited about our guest today.
Me too.
She is a Black Rock local
Legend.
a Harborview legend.
Shout out Harborview.
We've had so many people on here from Harborview.
Literally.
Yeah, we got
It's
the
such
best
a community.
guests. Yeah.
It is.
But without further ado, our guest is Sabita Morrison.
Hello, everybody.
She is the owner of Sabita Holistic Healthcare, or just Sabita Holistic Center?
Just to be the Holistic Center.
All right, guys, we are back. This is the Dream is Free podcast. The Dream is Free podcast. I'm your host, Jake Healy. Our other host and super producer is Mike Theophil.
Hello, cyber world. How
Very
are we?
excited about our guest today.
Me too.
She is a Black Rock local,
Legend.
a Harborview legend.
Shout out Harborview.
We've had so many people on here from Harborview.
Literally.
I love that.
Yeah, we got
It's
the
such
best
a community.
guests. Yeah.
It is.
But without further ado, our guest is Sabita Morrison.
Hello, everybody.
She is the owner of Sabita Holistic
Center.
Healthcare, or just Sabita Holistic Center?
Just to be the Holistic Center.
Okay. They are on the Fairfield-Southport border,
It's
Connecticut.
the pink house, everybody.
The
If
little
you're
pink
from
house.
this area,
You know it.
it's
Yeah.
the pink house on the post road.
It says Holistic Center on the side of it.
yeah.
Yes.
So thank you so much for coming on today. We've
Thank
been trying to make it happen
you.
for a while, so it's
Thank you.
awesome to finally get you on here. But yeah, we know each other from Fitness Edge, more getting to know each other from Harborview Market, which like we've had Danny came on our
Yes.
podcast, Aaron Graham, he goes to Harborview once in a while. Harry Bell, I don't know if you ever met him. Who else?
Our
have we got?
Bitcoin guy.
Marcio
Marcio.
came on and talked about Bitcoin. Where else did we have from Harborview?
We had other people. I can't remember it. Oh, what about your man right here, the Positive Tribe? Positivity Tribe, no?
No.
Oh,
he wasn't
okay.
from there. Someone
Oh.
else. Yeah.
I don't know.
Bunch of Harborview people. have been on
Harborview is
here.
the spot.
Yeah.
It's beautiful there.
Been really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so pretty much like we talked about like what we're going to talk about. We went over a couple things, but I think we should start with your background.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you started your business 23 years ago.
No.
18 years ago.
18 years
18
ago.
okay.
Yeah. First of all,
Started when she was 23.
Started when I
Oh,
was
okay.
right there.
I mixed the numbers
Yeah.
up. Okay.
No, yeah.
Thank
You're
you
there.
so much. Yeah, that funky pink house. When I was 23 years old, I found it, and I thought this house is still not going to be standing, if you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It was the original train station in Southport. It was a penny candy store.
You said it's 103 years old, right?
102 years old. And when I first saw the building, I just wanted to be a part of it because it had charm, right? And Southport at that time was really about supporting small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And
The dugout.
The dugout.
Oh, the dugout. Oh, I used to
Yes.
feast there.
That roast beef sandwich.
The milkshakes.
The milkshakes, the burgers. Oh my gosh, talk about a classic place.
Grandpa with the finger.
Yeah, exactly. you just know he can cook a mean burger.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I went to college for communications and marketing. I went to school because that's what my parents told me that I should do.
Where'd you go?
I went to Southern.
Nice.
And
Did you grow up around Fairfield?
I grew up in Stratford.
Okay.
And growing up, I always was somebody who was wanting to be friends with everybody. And when my parents talk about like who I am and why they had my sister, it was because that's who I am. My name means beautiful sunshine in Sanskrit. And that's what I wanted to shine as. Going to college, going to a school at the time that was predominantly white, I dealt with my fair share of racial and sexual harassment, so much so that my parents' house was spray painted.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I would have thought that everybody just thought that you were super smart.
Right?
right? It's
I know.
like, what? Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what stereotypes types am I living up to?
Right.
What am I not?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm great at science beyond stupid when it comes to math, like always. It
Me
was
too.
funny, right? Like,
Trust me. It's
I
bad.
don't know how I was in AP science, but in remedial math. That was really,
That's
really
weird.
It's really,
Yeah.
really
I
weird.
feel like those go two in hand, like science and math,
totally,
right?
right?
So
I'm
weird.
horrible at both.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. No, yeah. Don't even try.
We were just talking about we went to like Housatonic Community College, and
Yeah, to
when we
start,
started
yeah.
there, like
Yep.
we had to do the non-credit classes to
Yeah.
even get into Housatonic Community College. Like, we
Yeah,
had
like
to do the math
the
classes.
prerequisites. Like we had to take
The
the
stuff you're
test
doing
to
in,
see
like,
where
eighth grade.
you have to. Yeah, exactly. I remember like the professor looked at me in my first day of like these pre-classes. We had to write like just a simple intro, 3 body paragraphs and a conclusion, and he was like, "You can leave," and pointed at me, and he was like, "Everybody else, we got to learn this over." I
Yeah.
swear to God, I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy." At least I know how to write.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Well, the fact is, like, we're not good at everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're not meant to be. We have some talent. So,
Yeah.
but all of those things, like, I really believe that everything does happen for a reason. You know, I bring up those things specifically because I think they've helped build me to where I am today.
Yeah. How specifically, like with like experiencing like racism and all that stuff, like how does that affect the rest of your life? Like, what has it done for you today?
It allows me to be a more empathetic person, you know, and I think that going to college, even though I didn't choose the corporate route, you know, I wanted to be, this is totally aging myself, but I wanted to be like Heather Locklear at Melrose Place. Like, I just thought this was like some hot bad bitch who was like running stuff, and like I wanted that, right? And all of those things like allowed me to help me to be a better communicator. So I do think that those things have allowed me to also understand that we only know what we know, right? Like later on in life, I got to go to China, and that was like mind blowing because it totally taught me that culture is just a form of brainwashing, right? Like you only know what you know because that's what you've been taught.
Right.
And having an understanding about all of that has helped me to be more empathetic with the person who is, or what the cause of the pain is, and then what's the reaction or what happens afterwards when the pain happens.
You start to understand why people are the way that they are, and then you can't even get mad at them anymore.
Yeah, well, you have more understanding, but you also then have a clearer way of just creating what your own expectations and boundaries are, right? And so yes, I think in that way that was really helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then from college, how did you end up in the holistic world?
Again,
so
like
communications. I'm sure your parents didn't want you to start your own business in a little pink house.
God
right?
no. Yeah, I mean, my parents, like I grew up from entrepreneurial parents. You know, like my parents came from Trinidad and Tobago. My dad came to this country with $100 in his pocket. Like he lived in the YMCA in Greenwich. You know, my mom came from a big family, like typical West Indian people. Everybody goes to Queens, right? And they instilled in me that how hard it is, and like what a dollar actually means. So my mom growing up, she was home for the first 8 years, and then went back to work, and she opened up a hair salon. And my mom's been an entrepreneur for 30 some odd years. And I thought that, no way do I want to be on the service side. That was also part of the reason why I went to college, because I thought it was more glamorous to sit behind a desk.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in college, my internship was to start a women's spa within a women's gym. It was in Monroe, Connecticut. And again, those experiences of like growing up in the salon, right, allowed me to have this opportunity to use this as why I was chosen to do this internship, and why I was able to like create this whole women's spa thing. And so it's so fun when I look back at all my different notebooks of what I called my business and all the things that I wanted to have, and where I am today. So that led me to when I graduated college and did the corporate thing for a year and realized that I'm either aggressive or I'm assertive, right? And where does that come from? For me, aggressive comes from feeling defensive and not getting to be myself, and being assertive like really is about me coming from my heart, right? And I wasn't getting to feel that. Like I felt more of scrappy Sabita instead of happy, loving Sabita. And so when I got out of that corporate world, and it was more of the same. It was like more of the same of no, you have to be a certain thing, you know, as far as like what they wanted me to be. And I didn't really feel like I really wanted to be that. So I went back to school. Memorial Sloan Kettering had a cancer massage program, and that was life-changing to see people live and die, and see people live and die with grace, and see people live and die and struggle.
Yep.
And I mean, like, think about how fucked up we are in our head and how much struggling we do in our head, but to understand holistically how that's connected to our digestion, how that's connected to your hormones, how that's connected to everything, and how we can be our own natural drug dealer and we produce more serotonin and dopamine, or we can create more fear and more pain and create more cortisol and inflammation. Like, that was amazing. That was so humbling and helpful to me. And, you know, I worked at a couple of places. I worked at a spa in Westport. I worked at a chiropractor's in Fairfield. And, you know, just continue to just learn. I've always had mentors, right? Like, I feel like that's a really big part of why I am where I am today. I mean, I remember being in 6th grade and getting to go to Stratford, Ontario as the, you know, Sister City project. Like, I've always had people who have seen that I care, I love, and let's help her, right? And so I think that's really important, and I make sure that, like, I instill that. Sorry, I'm jumping off topic.
No, that's all right.
But I make sure that, like, I instill that in everything that I do, like, in everything that I am, that we're all teachers, we're all students, and there's so much that we can learn from, you know, each other. So, so became at 23, I was like, I can do this, you know, and I think that's part of entrepreneurship, or at least my brand in entrepreneurship, is jump in and you'll figure it out. Like, you'll figure out how to swim.
Right.
And, or you'll drown, right?
Yeah.
Right. And yay, I haven't drowned, right? Like, I'm still swimming, right?
Made it, yeah.
Yeah, right. Right. So that's what kind of led me to opening up my own business and wanting it to be about how do we all create less suffering for ourselves, and how do we do that in a way that is, you know, realistic, holistic. Because, you know, what I've learned about anything when it comes to health is, like, for us to want to be compliant, it's got to feel good, right? There's got to be, like, some reward that makes us, like, feel good about it. And that's, like, really what leads to it's not like a diet, it's not like a fad, it's really like a lifestyle. And for me, that meant realistic, holistic, and how do we, like, make the most of however today presents, and each day is going to be different. And with that meaning, like, how are we cool with whatever emotions that come up with that? Because, like, one day can be a really crappy day, and you might not want to run 5 miles. You know what I mean? You might want to just eat a pint of chocolate ice cream, and that's cool, right? Because it's like, if that's what you need at that time, that's cool. It's worse if you do that and then you punish yourself for eating that ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, like, that whole 80-20 rule for me has been really important into, like,
80% of the time eating a healthy diet.
80% of the time, like, I would say
Working
doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think as we get older and we're adults, like, it's even more important that we have play in our life.
Yeah.
And part of play is, at least for me, you know, is like, I'm a little mischievous. I'm a little bit of trouble, right? Like,
Yeah.
right? Like, so, and that's good. Like, that balances out the other sweet side of me, right?
Yeah.
And that's, like, more real, so that when you can recognize those things in yourself, like, it's just easier to be able to help other people recognize that in themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of services do you offer at your center?
So, first of all, I like to say, like, we offer choices.
Okay.
And first and foremost, we offer education. So lots of different places offer massage and acupuncture and corporate wellness and nutrition and naturopathy and all those kinds of things. But I think what we really specifically offer is choices. So it's not about one size fits all. It's about like educating people about like, here are some choices you might want to think about, and then figure out if that resonates with you. Because when it comes down to it, it's all about what connects with your inner guru, your inner wisdom. That's like, how is your parasympathetic nervous system like really working? Because it's when we're in flight and fight and autonomic nervous system that our brain is not getting the oxygen it really needs. And I will have to say that in my own life, like, it's not just a professional mission for personalized individual care. I don't fit into standard care, right? And so for me, it's really important that, and part of the reason why I don't understand math is like, there's statistics. Like, I don't, like, how is something that should be it logically 50%, like, no, it's 30%, right? Like, I don't even understand that.
Yeah.
So not fitting in part of like standardized medicine and the statistics, right, has been really important to me to also make sure that why we are first and foremost about education, and then you can figure out with yourself, do those things resonate with me? And if they resonate with you, like, that's the reason why the placebo effect is a thing, right? Like, if your immune system is saying, this is good for me, right? Like, it's going to be more, because every single moment, every single day, like, we don't know what's going to happen. But if you stay in that place of rest and digest and in that parasympathetic place, like, you dodge bullets a lot easier, so that whatever comes up, like, it's not all dukes up. It's like, no, I got this.
Yeah, I think mindset has a lot to do with
Completely.
everything, recovery from whatever, like anything. Yeah. I mean, modern medicine is great, it's awesome. But I think like a lot of it has to do with your staying positive when you're going through things too.
Yeah.
Completely. And we are 100% about integrative care. When I started my practice a long time ago, I was reading a book called Celestine Prophecy, and that's when I learned the word holistic, and holistic wasn't even a word yet, right? Like, it wasn't that big trendy word that banks and investments and everybody uses right now. And, coming from that, I think is really important, because it's all about foundation. And so many times in life, we always have to rebuild. And I think, like, if you always go back to, like, what's the foundation of things, it's easier. Like, it's okay. You can rebuild again.
Right.
Got it. What is it? The Celestine Prophecy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You told me about it one day. You were like, this is, read this book. This is where I got the, how I named my business.
Yeah.
Was that like a life-changing book for you, or was it just like, you just found, decided your name from there?
I think, like, I'm grateful that I went to school for marketing. I'm grateful that I went to school for communications. Like, I think that one of the things, I think that's like helpful for my ADD brain,
right.
Like, it allows me to like see big picture and do like a bunch of different things at the same time, For me, that book was helpful because it was like, oh, that's a good word. That's like a good word for like how I want to be sharing information. And that's not an overused word. So I think for me, I know as an entrepreneur and how I've like been able to like deal with the ebbs and flows of market crash, COVID, right, is being able to see like the bigger picture and also be, looking at what the upcoming trends are, to be able to navigate. So that's how that book was helpful to me.
Awesome. What was the hardest part about starting your business?
Ooh, the hardest part about starting my business was, I think, being patient with the whole process. I think everyone gets really excited about starting a business, and it sounds really cool to start a business, but it's really about the patience of being able to, I want things now. Like, why are things happening now? Like, within a business, I've started more businesses, right? Like, I've started a corporate wellness where we work with corporations on how do we help and fit in with their goals, right? or I created a tea business within. I went back to school and I became a health coach. I created other businesses, not knowing if all of them were going to work out. Some of them did, some of them didn't. I think has been like the biggest part of understanding what the journey is going to be when you start a new business. Like you have like, when I like laugh when I look at my first notebook about what I wanted my business to be, like where I thought I was going to be doing, how much money I was going to be making, how easy it was going to be, how many hours a day I thought I really wanted to work that I really did not really want to work, you know, right? And like being okay with, okay, I want to do this, but I need to be able to know that there might be I might have to make adjustments along the way while staying, again, with what's my foundation.
Got it. Going back to like businesses that you started within your business and then like businesses that didn't work out. At what point do you know like this business is like, what's like, give us an example of a business that didn't work out that you were like, and at what point, how much effort were you putting into it and then decide like, okay, this isn't working out, time to let go of this one? Because I feel like it's probably really hard to let go of something that you've invested so much time into. And
Totally.
You know?
So one of the businesses that I started is something called Sabita Teas. I still have an online site, sabitateas.com. And, I went back to school for nutrition because I did have a marketing degree and I knew how much bullshit goes into marketing. And I didn't want to put something that had to come with food and bullshit, right, and my name. So, I was 25 years old and I went to China 6 months before the Olympics. And I remember I went with a guy friend, and thank God I went with a guy friend because like, this is not a vacation, China. This is an adventure. And he spoke Mandarin and he spoke Cantonese and he was in global marketing and so important. Yeah, literally. Like I didn't even know, right? And we're on this plane ride and he's like, so what else do you want to do with your life? Do you just like, is this going to be your whole entire thing? Because this is really what you're talking about. Like, this is how long it's going to take you. And then you're already 25 years old. And do you want to be a mom? And do you want to be a wife? And I was so pissed that why aren't you thinking about these things? Why am I having to think about these things, right? And I went to China, and that was a totally mind-blowing experience. Being a dark-skinned female in China, you are the most ugliest person around.
Really?
And, like people would laugh at me and point at me. And I mean, like, forget about having a chip on your shoulder when you're half the world away. Like, you just have to deal with this is how people see you and don't take it personally, right? Like that book, The Four Agreements. I don't know if you've read that book yet.
A long time ago. Yeah.
And
my mom gave it to me when I was like 16, I think, or something.
Too soon.
Yeah, I know.
Too soon.
Yeah.
And like I came back from that experience, and that was like mind blowing because at the time, like the Snapple lady was around, and I don't know if you guys remember the Snapple lady. She was this lady. Like Snapple was a big thing, and it was all about.
I remember that,
right? And it was all about white tea. And I went to China, and here I am at this like tea expo, and I'm at these plantations, and the guy goes like, who here drinks like Folgers coffee? And we all laughed and said no. And he says, we only drink the spring harvest of the green tea. Everything else we sweep off the floor and we send it to America. Damn. Right? And so like perception. So I go to this Jacob Javits style situation where it's like all these different teas from all around Asia. Like that, all that was super fascinating and cool. And then you come home, and at the time, China just was labeled as having lead in everything. And so that was like my first setback, with that business. And then mentally I was like, well, what else do I want to do? Is he right about all of that? And then I came back to my business, and I started selling teas again, and made sure that all of my teas like had a purpose and what differentiated my product, right? First, it was quality, always making sure that the quality is organic, fair trade, all of those things. Like, is it part of my brand, part of my mission? And like, what's its purpose, right? And I jumped into that, not knowing that, oh my God, there's so many reasons why small businesses, mom and pops, like have their jams and they don't go get a label. Because like no one tells you, the FDA doesn't tell you, oh, even though you're having a dried product, I wasn't even making jam, you have to have certain kind of paint on your walls, and you have to have like certain kinds of sink, and you have to like wash things at a certain temperature. Like they don't help you out with that. It's like trial and error. It's like fail, 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 fail. And then I got into it, and I was selling it at the farmers markets, and I was like grassroots, and and then Mrs. Green's and Whole Foods wanted my tea, and I was like, oh yeah, that's I'm getting big time now, right? And then it's like, oh, but you have to now go and literally prostitute yourself for free all around the country and push your wares, and we're gonna take up this amount of room, and you have to pay us if you want to be on this part of the shelf. I mean, like, there's so much like other stuff that goes into it, and at the time, I love being where I am because it allows me to have so many entrepreneurs and CEOs and CFOs who come to me, and that's also part of what's my learning too. But one of our local leaders, won't say their name, the VP of sales like ordered all of my teas to their office in Fairfield, and I was like, yes, buy me, like let me be your cool little sister. And they ignored me. No response. And that's when I got diagnosed with cancer for the first time. And it just like wasn't a priority for me to like fight this, like it sucks sometimes as the little guy, right? And it also, for a long time, I've been an eye for an eye kind of person. You know what I mean? I guess that's also that duality stuff. But I had to like pull back and say like, all right, maybe this just wasn't right for me at this time, right? Like when I see basically a company copying your product, it's kind of hard. But then you have to choose. Like I had to choose that I had so many other more important things that I really wanted to focus and choose.
Especially your own health at that time.
My health,
right?
yeah. And then back to that conversation where I was 25 years old about, is this like your main thing? Is this really what you want to, this is what you really want to do? And it wasn't. It was really more of like a side hustle as an extension of what my main, business was. It's funny that this has actually been like a couple of years that my tea hasn't been at Harborview. Shout out to Harborview. I mean, they were so supportive of me. But people still think like my teas are still out there. And so, now I'm thinking about like, okay, well, maybe the way that I do this is different the way than I did it before. Maybe there's like another angle. And I think that's also really important, that you try new things. Sometimes things work out when you want them on that timeline, like that whole patience thing again. And then sometimes, they'll come back to you and you'll find like another way to just have it still be about your business.
The atmosphere is so much different now. Like you could sell Amazon, like you could just be like your own online tea retailer now. It's like so much.
Oh, don't even get me started about Amazon, and because I used to sell on Amazon, and like you're all the way like down on the list, right? And
yeah,
I mean, I'm so glad that I tried Etsy and Pinterest and all these other kind of things that you do as a small business, and for me, everything that I do has to have, my mantra is head, heart, pocketbook. That is my mantra, right? Like in my head, there has to be science behind there, and there needs to be research behind there. In my heart, I have to be able that I believe in it and that it actually like fits who I am, and I'm not just trying to be somebody that I'm not. And then pocketbook, like there has to be a win-win situation, with it all. You can't help others if you're not also helping yourself. So with that being said, as an entrepreneur, you have to find ways to find systems so that you can scale some of the things like that you can actually scale in your business, right? So that you can do this for why you do this, right? So you can make your own schedule. You don't have to be working underneath somebody else's plan for you. You get to create your own plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Best.
I like the Head Heart pocketbook.
Yeah.
Head Heart wallet for us now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
For sure.
So going back to like you've had the business for 18 years, so you've like you just mentioned before, like going through the real estate crash and COVID and everything. Like, what have the ups and downs of the last 18 years in business been like? And what was the hardest point like that you got to in business where?
Wow, the hardest point. Oof. I don't even know. I think that there's been like definitely different times. I think probably
COVID, obviously.
COVID. I think COVID probably was.
Yeah.
And maybe because that's just where I'm living right now, because I have managed to. I think what's really important, like I've had so many opportunities, like again, that you think are going to be like baller status, right? Like I remember a hospital coming to me and showing me space on top of Tiffany's in Main Street, Westport, thinking like, oh my God, I'm going to get to work with a hospital and, all these things that like you think that are going to work out, but then don't end up working out are really meant for your good. Like it is important to manage what you can manage, because especially during COVID, when I see so many businesses closing,
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm not closed, right? And let me knock on wood about that.
I'm not fucking leaving.
Exactly. I'm not leaving. And part of that, so I think that has been the hardest part. And not for nothing, but my cancer came back, right? And I had to spend 2 weeks in the hospital by myself during COVID. And
Because you can't have visitors or anything,
yeah,
right?
no visitors. And go from a place of, okay, I'm done with that. That chapter of my life is over. I moved on to, oh shit, this is back again in my life. And how do I really manage that? I have to say like a shout out to Miguel and to Alice Angels. Those two guys are the reasons why I actually came back to work.
Yeah, you told me the story about it
Yeah.
when we were talking about Miguel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Miguel?
Our Miguel, yeah.
Miguel. I love that guy.
He's so great.
He is.
We have the same birthday.
Oh, wow.
I love Miguel. Yeah.
And she
That's
said
awesome.
she was not working, and then Miguel hit her up and wanted to buy a gift certificate for somebody that he knew, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, I need to be back at work.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was
Like they
hard.
motivated you a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I think cancer can really be a gift because you can be super present. You can be really, really present about who do you want to be, what do you want your legacy to be.
Puts your life into perspective
Totally
for you.
puts life into perspective for me.
Before you jump into it, what was it like? So like you have your holistic business, you've worked with a ton of cancer patients, right? Like throughout your career. And then what was it like the first time, like after like working with so many cancer patients and being in that business and then finding out that you have cancer yourself? Like what was must have been crazy.
It was crazy. And I've been with all stages of cancer. Like I've been with cancer patients where they lived, and I've been with people at their end of life. And I had many end of life patients. And it really brought it back full circle. It really did. And it was walk the walk, not just talk the talk. And that's why I said from the beginning, we're all teachers, we're all students. So I think it just made me honestly a better practitioner, because I could fully understand what it meant how your immune system, how you didn't feel good, why that was suppressing to your immune system if you didn't poop, if you didn't sleep, if you felt nauseous, if you felt lethargic. All those things are not little symptoms that when we are healthy, we just ignore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like we ignore those things. We ignore when our gut is telling us like something's not right. We really do. And
After some hot oil pizza for me. Shout out Colony. You get me every time.
right?
I still go back like an idiot.
Yeah, but you don't eat every day.
No.
Right?
It's a treat.
80-20.
Yeah, exactly. Like every 2 weeks, I'm like,
Constant
Stop.
time.
Right?
get that hot oil burn. But I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to listen.
Yeah, you gotta listen. So yeah, it was. I'm grateful. I am really, really grateful because it allows me to really understand. And I think so many times we're too scared to be vulnerable. We're way too scared to be open. We're so scared that we're gonna be judged. You know, we're
So many
so
people.
scared that we're gonna be judged that we don't speak up, and we feel overwhelmed, and then we don't take action. And that sucks.
Yeah.
So I think it just allowed me to be okay with myself and also not be any bit of a Pollyanna of like, you can do it.
Right.
It's good. The sun's coming out. Right?
Yeah.
Because, you know,
Now you understand, like, today's not the day.
it's not a day.
Yeah.
But to that point, like I had no clue that you even had cancer again until you told me like a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I just like I saw you almost. I feel like I saw you every single day, and like you were your normal self and everything.
Yeah.
So
It's been, I mean, like, this conversation's scary for me. I'm not going to lie. You know, thank God I am in remission, but I think I always want to own my own identity. And, you know, I am out in the world and, you know, I'm either infamous or I'm famous, you know, one or the other, and you want to like control the story. And I think a lot of the times I don't want everybody to know that this is a part of who I am. You know, I am in remission again, but I'm still on immunotherapy that's, you know, keeping me alive. I'm still going to treatment, you know, possibly the rest of my life, you know. But again, like that's what I love about holistic, because it shows like there is light and dark in life, you know. That is that is a part of life. So maybe I shouldn't hide, you know, what some of my, you know, dark is. I've been scared at times because
for business,
my business, you know, like, is it? People have said maybe I shouldn't come to you. I don't want to get you sick, right? Like that's, people are not, I don't want them coming to me and feeling like they have to carry, you know, my burdens, because I have a therapist, you know.
you have your own caretaker. Like
Yeah. You're like, I'm good.
Yeah, and I make sure, because how unfair would it be if I'm not taking care of myself and then trying to help and take care of other people? And I make sure that I get the best. Like I have the best therapist. I have the best person that I go to. I make sure that I surround myself. I have the best mentors. I make sure that I have the best, because
you want to give the best.
I want to give the best. Like not for nothing. I'm not the cheapest person on the block. Like my business is really about, you know, as Miguel said, like when he was telling Alec, oh, you're in pain. Don't you know Sabita? You know, it wasn't like he said, go get a massage. It was, don't you know Sabita? Right? That's so much, it's so much deeper than that. So, yeah, I make sure that I take time for myself. Right. I think that's really, really important.
Can't pour from an empty cup, right?
No. Like there's no, it's like a bank account, right? Like right back to that pocketbook, right? If there's no deposits, where are you giving from? You know, where are you giving from? I think that's important.
Yeah. I cut you off before, right, when you were starting to talk about how finding out that you have cancer puts everything into perspective for you. And curious, where were you going with that? Like you were about to say, it
Yeah.
kind of aligns a lot of stuff for you as soon as you find out.
It really does, right?
Especially when it's the second time, right? That's
this is
happening.
actually my third time.
Third time.
This is actually my third cancer. Being in the hospital for 2 weeks made me super grateful for, who I am, right? Like I said to you today, I wasn't sure, like I changed my outfit because we talked about like, what are we going to talk about? What's your mission? And my mission is love. And when I got dressed this morning, I had regular jeans on and this shirt because I was like, maybe I'm a little too much, and it's like, no, you have to be exactly who you are, right?
Yes.
You really do. You have to be exactly who you
That's
are.
why I wear my socks over my pants. And I don't care when people judge me.
Right, because
He has some boring socks on today, too.
Yeah, no, I
also,
usually
like,
have swagalicious socks.
Like yesterday, he had some purple socks on over
Yeah.
his black sweatpants.
Yeah, I have like alien socks. I do it up. I like the sock game.
I know, like he'll show up to a restaurant to go out to dinner, like with that style going on. Too, like,
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I feel like it's welcoming for people too.
it's totally
It is. You gotta be yourself.
welcoming.
Yeah, they're like, oh my, I could talk to this dude. You know what I mean? And that's what I want, honestly.
Yeah.
Right,
So it
creating
works.
connection.
Yeah,
And I
honestly.
think that's really, really, really where it's helped to make an alignment. Like I'm always talking about, if you don't
Move this a little bit closer.
if you don't suppress it,
Wow, there she is.
if you suppress it, it's gonna find another way to express it, right? And it's gonna find another way where it's gonna hold it in your body, When I was doing my research on, because it's been so annoying, I've been to so many different hospitals. Everybody wants to put me in the standard care, and I continue to shout about that I don't fit into the standard care. Like I'm happy that there's more attention now to the health disparities, and there's like all these movements and whatnot. Like that's all fine and good, and I'm hoping to when I will get my day. I learned about that with gynecological cancers. That's like a big thing with Indian women, and I wouldn't have known that. And I just Googled Indian women and genetic history and the type of cancers because I didn't understand. I look healthy. I'm a healthy person. I'm doing the right things. I own a holistic center. I'm not like being all juju.
Living the 80-20
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm not like doing all juju. Like it's all science. It's okay. I'm taking these meds and I'm aware about how what it's creating nutritionally, the deficiency that one thing is taking and then what it's doing to another. And I'm balancing that out. Like what's happening here, right? And to learn so deeply what genetics are and to learn that today there are so many, there's so many studies that say that Indian women, they have this propensity to have these type of cancers. And because it's the Indian scientific journals, they talk about like one of the things is like limiting your energy. And when I think about like what holistic is all about, like I make sure we first talk scientifically about your body. We talk about anatomically, pathology, kinesiology. I make sure because like I've dealt with that. People labeling me as the Indian charmer. That's what was spray painted on my parents' house, right?
Oh, Jesus.
Right? So like I've dealt with people making stereotypes about me and whatnot. So I think that's part of my first shield to say like, no, that's not what I'm about. And then I get to actually look deeper into myself and see like what are my talents? What is this whole Indian wisdom thing, situation and spirituality and whatnot? And then to like do my research now and learn that, whoa, Indian women, they say like limit your energy. And then I look at, well, what is this whole chakra thing? What's this whole Ayurvedic thing? And
Pineal gland.
right, exactly.
The third eye.
Right, your pineal,
I'm all with it.
Right, your pineal gland and your root chakra.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm having my problems.
Your blockage, yeah.
That's where my blockage is, right? And
So it flows.
right, like, and about like that duality about like, I have gotten to be where I am. I have gotten to be in business for 18 years because it's like I get that shit done, right?
Yeah.
And I make sure that, but how is that affecting like my softer side? And then, whoa, this is something that has been going on, not just because my genetic markers show that, and it shows that in my cancer that, you also have something called Lynch Syndrome, which is a genetic disposition. It's not just where the money goes with the BRCA gene, no hate to my breast cancer sisters, but there are other genes out there that many of us carry, but there's just no social marketing around it yet, right? To just like bring more an awareness to all of this and not have it be about like, this is some woo-woo stuff, right? That, that maybe in some conversations it is about chakras.
I know it.
Right?
I know people are like, you say that, it's like, you're crazy, like that. But it's real. Like it's actually that show right there. To your right, Avatar: Last Airbender. It depicts it great, and for like all ages, to be honest. And there's this guru basically talking about the chakras to Aang. He's an avatar, and he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand what it is, and he's like, your chakras are all through your body, and it's as if they're next to a little stream, and he puts rocks in between. And you see, it's not flowing anymore. Mm-hmm. And he's like, once you heal all these little chakras and open them up, you start flowing. You're welcome, Cyber World. Avatar: Last Airbender.
That reminds me, I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Bodies exhibit. Do you remember that exhibit? No. The Bodies exhibit was this really cool thing that they had. It was this traveling exhibit, this Chinese exhibit. And it showed you about how the body works, right?
In the city, or?
Yeah, it was in the city, all over the place.
Yeah.
And like when you actually saw that your nervous system looked like telephone lines and that your artery really looked like a pump, it was easier to understand like what a fascinating machine that we
are. Yeah.
And I remember doing this test, and at the time my husband was my boyfriend, and we're doing this test, and it was just measuring alpha and theta brain waves. And we both had to put on these metal hats, and there was this marble in the middle of the table. And just with your thoughts, you had to move the marble. And you would assume like Zen Sabita Holistic Center, like no problem. But I was just so focused on beating this motherfucker.
Yeah.
That nothing happened.
Yeah.
It would not move.
Yeah.
It would not move. And Scott, my amazing husband, right? Like he was just, and like I thought, Scott, he's a police officer.
Yeah, no spirituality in this guy. He has a crew cut haircut. He doesn't.
Scott, exactly.
No,
That's
I mean, it's every police officer like stereotype. Sorry, guys, I love you guys. I do. Don't defund the police.
Exactly.
But no, I could see why you'd be like.
Exactly.
That's a cake in the wall. Like, it's even in my genes, like to be spiritual, like.
Exactly.
And then he probably was like.
Exactly.
Like the whole room just levitated when he did it.
No, Scott seems like a pretty deep guy.
He's so great. I love that guy. I love that
I hope so.
Yeah. I know.
And that's a whole other story how we met, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So
he moves it.
He moves it, and it was like right in your face about what happens in flight and fight, and what happens with your nervous system, right? So that's what I just try to like make sure that I am aware of. I'm aware of. Maybe I need to get in touch with my emotional intelligence right here and process this before I react. And I think that's really important. And that's this whole cancer experience has helped me to do that because, we all have things to us that feels like it's important, and it could be, and it's important to us right then and there, but it could also have like long-term damage on you, if you don't find ways to process it.
Awesome. Good stuff. Let's talk about Books. I told Sabita, she was like, "What do you guys talk about on the show?" I was like, "For some reason, books come up a lot." Like,
I know.
all the time,
And
like-
it's funny because me and Jake, growing up, we talk about it all the time. We weren't known as the reading type.
Yeah, we didn't read.
And it's like now we're readers.
Yeah, we read a lot now. But no, we talk about The Alchemist a lot,
Yeah,
which
Yeah.
we've talked about.
Yep. It's numero uno here.
Tons of different books. But what did
you
you bring
bring?
today? So,
So-
are these books that have changed your business for stuff that you use for business, life?
Totally. And again, full disclaimer to those non-readers, I like to read like 3-4 books at the same time.
See,
what
yeah,
I do.
That's what I do too. It's fudging dumb.
I'll read like 3 chapters and then I'll see another book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to read this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then I'll start reading that. And I'll
Yep.
be like, I kind of like that other book too, so I'll go back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same way.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's cool. And for me, like, it allows me to, some books are really meant to just read a chapter and process it. You know, like, one of the books I brought today is Brene Brown, The Gift of Imperfections. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this book.
No.
Let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. And
I like that.
yeah. And one of the cool things is, like, I love words. And one of the words that, and there's so many different words that we give meaning to
know.
that are, it's not maybe that's the word or in the context of
Yes.
that, right?
Gosh.
Right? And so
We get each other.
so one of the words that she talks about is the word courage, right? And I think a lot of times when we think about courage, we think about like physically strong and like that battle.
Brave.
Right, brave.
Muscles.
Exactly. And the word courage really came from speaking from your heart and having the courage to really honestly speak from your heart. And that takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, to be vulnerable and like be yourself.
Yeah.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorite books. And it really is like, I think that, again, like being a human being, we're so lucky that we were born in this lifetime as a human being.
I know.
But we are some assholes sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
We
Oh,
are so
yeah.
stupid sometimes.
yeah.
Like, we're such self-sabotagers. you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
Sometimes.
If I wish one of our buddies was here, he'd be like, he'd look at me and be like, he's a self-sabotager. He always says it.
But there's so many great nuggets in that. And there's so many like lessons to learn about that. And there's so many ways that you can actually then again help somebody else not to make that same mistake or find a different way to communicate so that somebody else, it's again, like it's always, what is it, quantum physics? Like no two people are going to see the same thing the same way because we've all had our own experiences and we
Yeah.
like bring our own story
Right. Like we
to
all
it.
have our own perspective
Yeah.
of the world. Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
all, it's crazy. I always think about that sometimes when I'm in a big group of people. I'm like, holy freaking shit. Everyone here is experiencing life right now and like and it's just like crazy. It's like their own world.
Totally.
It's nuts.
it's crazy.
when you
like-
really like actually like, whoa,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
And then like also how quiet is their world? Like how much are people just carrying on that like is
I
there
know.
noise?
Yeah, I
or is
know.
there like some space in there?
There's a lot of robotic sheep out there. They're just like work, home, kids, work, home, kids. Like no self-growth, no like a lot of people. And that's when, honestly, when you talked about, your inner youth or whatever, I call it your inner child, it's like a lot of people lose that and then they go do something they hate for the rest of their lives. And then they look back and they're like, oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah.
What did I do? That's why we're here. That's why I'm here, actually. So it's like I never have to look back and be like, geez, what did I do? It's like, at
Totally.
least I did that.
better to try it
Yeah.
and fail it. than-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think like one of my favorite people ever, her name was Ellen, and I was with her when they told her that she had weeks to live.
Wow.
And I was like, why is this happening? And what am I supposed to learn from this? And Ellen said to me to forgive, to like continuously forgive yourself and to forgive other people. And I remember going to her funeral and the priest saying how many times Ellen had him come over because she had so many people that she had to forgive and how many people that she wanted to ask for forgiveness. So, like living your own truth helps so that in the end you don't have to forgive as many people.
Right.
Because, you're coming from your truth.
Yeah, and it's hard to forgive yourself. I feel like it's I've forgiven a lot of people, because you have to forgive to be forgiven, right? So, but like forgiving yourself, that's tough sometimes. Like when you do something dumb to what you think is dumb, it could send you down a spiral.
It can totally send you down a spiral, and that's when I think, unfortunately, it's when we have to sit with acceptance and patience and be, like you said, to that inner child, like it's okay, and then again rebuild, because again that foundation, you're not a total fuck up, right? Like why are we staying in that? You don't have to stay in that space,
right?
Yeah,
100%.
You just want to make sure your side of the street is clean all the time.
always,
Yeah,
always.
You don't have to live with like feeling any of that sorrow, guilt, all that stuff. Like, if you could wake up every day and say like, okay, my side of the street is clean. I've been a good person. Or at the end of the day, your little, go through your little checklist. Like, man, do I owe anybody amends? Like, did I check everything off today? Like, do I need to reach out to anybody? So,
and I think something with that, like, the other day, one of my girlfriends who is not the most emotional people, and she comes across as like really happy and the life of the party, but not necessarily like can deal with all the things that she does not like about herself or about life. And if I could have a flip phone, I've made it clear to everybody that technology is not my friend, and I prefer to not even learn, honestly. Like, I'd rather pay someone else to do it, because that's not where it brings out the worst in me. It makes me feel stupid, right? And so I was having a problem with technology, and I reached out to her about it, and she's like, don't give me that excuse about, don't use that excuse about technology. And I was like, don't try to shame me and judge me right now. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I'm just joking. And I'm like, no, dude, you're trying to shame me and judge me right now. And I love you. Yeah. And I'm just letting you know. And she hung up and she hung up the phone on me. And I called her back and I was like, listen, like, I hear what you're saying, and
that's the best line. I hear what you're saying, right? It's like, I do, like, and then they tune in differently. Like, okay,
I understand where you're coming from.
Yes.
Right. Well, let's just say we haven't spoken since.
Oh, okay.
We have not spoken since. And so, like, my patience is that hopefully she's going to come back and say, like, well, even though I was giving her a little dig, my intentions were to just joke around, but I love this person, and I need to acknowledge that I made her feel she felt a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
And I got to acknowledge that, right, about that. And just, like, giving people some space that, okay, that's my own shit. I know I don't know anything about technology. I got my defense about that. I'm feeling my own shame and guilt around.
And on the flip side, right? Sometimes other people are going through their own shit that has absolutely nothing to do with you, and you just happen to be the person that called them up at that exact moment when they were not in a good mood about something, and like, you just happen to be that person that takes the brunt of it. Like, I always think about that. I'm like, I don't even think they're mad at me. Like, just
yes,
yeah.
But then, like, giving both those people space until they feel comfortable to just, like, come back and be like, because that's that will happen. But I think, like, being okay with that space is also really good.
Yeah, you seem like I have a specific story that I'm thinking of, but like you're like the type of person where you're just like you're yourself, and you're very easy to probably forgive. Because I remember I was at Harborview when COVID was like just starting, and everybody was like really, really, really on edge. And there's like this regular guy that goes there, and I don't know why, he just never wanted to wear the mask thing. And he was in the store one day, and the girl behind the counter was like, pretty nicely like, hey, please put your mask on or don't come in here, and like he started talking shit to her, and then
Yeah.
she was standing behind him, and she goes, "Hey, don't be a fucking asshole, all right? She's nice to you every single day.
Yeah.
You know, wear the mask when you come in here, or don't come in."
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And then literally though, I got my stuff and went outside, and she was sitting at a table with that guy talking to him, like having her breakfast.
That's hilarious.
And that is me. Like, it's,
Yeah.
I'm 100% transparent. And,
Yes.
like, I feel so much safer in the world being
Yes.
that way. Like, you either like me or you don't like me. It's okay.
Yeah, me too. I feel that.
Right? And so
like-
I think that's important.
It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
to
it's,
come out of the restaurant and you were sitting like me and you were sitting right now, just like
because like this particular person, like he has his own problems.
right.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's got some deeper problems, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to make him.
It's like, how can you be mad at this guy?
Yeah, like I don't want to make people feel shame and guilt and not feel like we can't move from shame and guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I know.
okay,
yeah.
you were just a dick.
You were an asshole.
Yeah, move on. Let's
Yeah, now
He
it's
was
like-
an asshole a bunch of times. I
Yeah.
think that was the tipping point.
Yeah.
totally.
Perfect
Poor-
person
to the
behind
poor
him
girl
too.
at Harborview, yeah.
Yeah. I know. They're so sweet there too. It's like, how can you be mean to them?
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like,
Yeah. Jake's like,
I don't even want to know anything about this
Yeah.
right now.
even though he could whoop his ass.
One of the other books that I forgot,
Yeah,
which
we
I
have-
thought was really good, is The E-Myth Revisited. I don't know if you guys have ever read that book before.
No.
But
No.
it's the entrepreneurial myth. And as an entrepreneur, like basically you have a trade and then maybe you're good at one other thing, but you're not meant to be you're not meant to be the janitor. You're not meant to be the accountant. You're not meant to, like, there's so many roles that you have to be when you're an entrepreneur that you can't do them all well. And figuring out and understanding that, okay, whatever you bring to the table, this is your trade. And then also making sure that you surround yourself with those other people so that you can actually scale your
team.
business. Yeah. Yeah. So you can actually like scale your business, and also so that you don't allow what your weaknesses are to stand in your way. Because, you know, that's the other thing about corporate lifestyle. Like, you have all those layers that you just don't have when you're an entrepreneur.
It's like more freedom, I feel like. More
Yes.
creative freedom, more just freedom. It's literally, I couldn't.
You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to run anything up the ladder. It's
Yeah,
like,
nothing.
The idea, and we're like, okay, we're gonna do it. I get both sides of it because I work in the corporate
Yeah.
world, and then we're also doing this, where it's like corporate world, one thing, and I'm grateful for my job and
Yeah.
like the opportunities that I've had there and everything. I love it. And that's even an entrepreneurial job too.
It is.
Mortgages, because it's really your own
Hustler.
business. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I don't have a salary. Like I don't have to be anywhere at any certain time. Like I get what I put into it. You know.
Yeah.
But then on this side of it, it's like very creative. Like if I get an idea, call him up and be like, let's fucking do this shit.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like, we're doing it. Yeah, it's it. It's like, no big deal. All right, let's try it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I love it. It's just
And
freedom.
you learn a lot more about like time management, what you want to expend your resources into,
Energy.
you know, because it's like, we have this much money to do this with. Is this what we want to spend this on?
Yeah.
What time, how long do we have to do all this stuff? What kind of people do we want to make sure like that we're investing into the right people?
Right. Our energy.
That they're
Totally.
investing with us. You
Yeah,
know what
are
I
they
mean?
on
So-
our frequency? Are they vibrating with us, or are they a little couple notches below? You know,
Exactly.
it's like, geez Louise.
Yeah, we had like a whole bunch of people that were kind of involved with
Yeah.
us, and then we have another another person who was a guest on our show and has become kind of like a mentor. Not kind
Yeah.
of, he's become a mentor for us.
Yeah, big
But
bro.
We were talking to him about like, hey, should we, what do we do with these people that are kind of half in, half out? And he's like, sit down with them, take them to lunch, and be like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah.
And if it has nothing to do with you and your
Downtime
your
TV,
business, then
Bye.
Just cut it off at that point.
Yeah, like, so, you know.
That's a good point.
Because it's like
Yeah.
the energy, and I understand, because it's like, if all our energy on our team is going this way, we're going to get where we need to get, which is over there, so much quicker. But if like one person's even going that way, it's going to take longer. So it's like,
Yeah.
bye. We don't
Yeah.
need it. You know what I mean? We've got enough people, you know, and people always come in and go. They come and go. And it's like the right people will be here.
right.
And slowly but surely, it's
Totally.
been happening. It's been epic.
yeah.
It's been epic.
It's all about the right fit.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
What else you got for us?
Yeah, what else?
So, like you said, time management.
The 1 minute organizer.
1 minute organizer, plain and simple. Because I think so many times, and like one of the things that the Gift of Imperfections talks about is that so many times, and I think you saw this at different points in our life, you get so overwhelmed that you do nothing. Mm-hmm. Right? Like how many times you would look at something and say like, oh, this project is just too big. And then you just like you freeze, right? And that can get really exhausting. Like if you allow your emotions to overtake you, that can really like take you back. So I love this book because it's just really simple. And again, it just leads to just making you want to do it, because everything for me I want more pleasure in my life, right? And clutter makes me feel it's not good for my brain.
Right.
But sometimes I just don't even have the energy to even want to do it. So like if I do this 1 minute organizer and I put on the timer for 10 minutes and like I get a project done, and then, it takes off some of that weight that allows you to want to do more stuff. So I really like that book.
That's good. I need to get that one.
I love... So I think one thing that's been super helpful to me is meditation. I like to do this 5-minute affirmation thing that I do in the morning.
You're gonna set Mike off on a
to my
tangent
heart
right
over
now.
here, huh? I do it every morning and night. I do it every morning and night, affirmations, like
Cool.
especially for this thing. Like I'm like locked in. You know what I mean? Since COVID, actually, since like that week, I was like, yeah, it's time. Like,
It's time.
Get in there,
Yeah, and it really actually does make a difference.
Yeah.
It really, really does. I mean, everything takes up space.
What's the process like? What's the 5 minute?
So
meditation?
my 5-minute meditation is I like to do it outside. I've been sitting at the corner at at St. Mary's. So I sit by the water. And it's really fascinating because, like, even on the really cold days or even the really rainy days, I'm still doing it. And I don't feel the cold, nor do I feel the rain. And that's
Because of the breathing, right?
Yeah, and the mindset of just, like, where you are connected. And I follow this 5-minute these 5-minute affirmations.
Yes.
And
You're listening
Guided,
to
yeah,
something?
guided.
it's
right?
guided.
Yeah.
And so it was from this one woman, and then I just from then on took it, and then I added some of my own that resonated with me, and it's been actually now a part of a treatment when clients come to see me. It's like the last 5 minutes I either speak out loud a 5-minute affirmation, or we listen to a 5-minute affirmation, and I tell people to if there's anything that comes up for you, like, let's add that into it. And it's been such a great way to connect that mind and body and then send them out into
The universe,
world.
yeah.
Yeah. And for me, that has been just life-changing as far as, like, some of my favorites are, like, my miracle's already in progress. I speak with clarity and compassion. I am a connection to financial wealth, right? Like, it's all of those things, right? And it's so I love that. I love making sure. Yeah, I am. Like, do you know the So Hum?
I am a world guider. I am.
But do you know the So Hum meditation?
No.
Oh, cool. So that's exactly what it is. I am. That I am. So
I feel like that's what Angie told us, right?
That's what Angie was talking about, yeah.
Yes. That's what I thought.
Somebody else on our podcast.
Oh,
that was-
cool.
Yeah, you'll love her. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole time you've been on, I was like, we gotta hook her up.
Yes,
with Angie.
yes.
They love each other.
Yes, they will.
But that's what she does. She sets a timer throughout the day, she says. So
Yes.
it's like once an hour or something
Yes.
like that for like a minute or 2 minutes. She has like her affirmations like, I am
yes.
abundance. I am, like, or whatever
Totally.
it is. Actually, her Instagram handle is
I am Angie. I am.
yeah, like that's her.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, you're gonna love her.
She's super cool.
She's
yeah,
the best.
really
We went
cool.
out to dinner with her and Chris, that mentor he was talking about 2 days ago.
Yeah.
2 nights ago. They're just epic.
Cool.
They're a fun time.
Yeah. Well,
Fun time.
please include me.
Yes,
We will.
definitely.
Yeah.
No, that's what we're doing here. We're just building friendships. We don't even care about the
Yeah,
show.
all the everybody that we've had on here has somehow connected with like somebody else from the show, or we've connected with everybody.
Yeah.
And it's been really cool. And our main goal when we get
Yes.
to 50 people, I think you're 26.
26, 7, 8, I don't know.
We stopped counting because we kept messing up
Yeah.
the numbers. Like I'd be like, "What is episode 17?"
Yeah, it was
maybe
just
18.
not worth it
So I
anymore.
stopped saying it at the beginning.
Yeah.
But when we get to 50, so we have all the episodes counted out. When we get to 50, we're gonna hopefully COVID will be
Done.
further
Yeah.
done by then. We're gonna have like a big networking
Party
thing
That is so
with
cool.
the 50 people at first.
Yeah.
So you'll be there.
Yeah,
That's
for
so
sure.
Cool.
Yeah,
I
Thank
know.
you. Yeah.
it's gonna be awesome.
And I actually want to say something, but I'll say it after. It's about the Dream is Live because I have another day we could add for health
okay.
with Glenn, her, and he could get a couple other people too, but we'll talk about that after.
We have another idea for you.
Yeah.
Yay.
It's epic. It's epic. You'll love where we're doing it, but we'll talk about it later. We can't tell the people everything. I give too much away.
And
But
is
yeah.
that- so is that the
Yeah,
power
so
awareness?
the power awareness. So Sundays for me, like Monday's my favorite. I've got a couple. I love certain days. Mondays, I love Mondays because it's a do-over day, right? It's like
Start
whatever
of the
shit
week.
show
Yeah, I love it.
happened last week. It's
I
like
know.
start over.
I love
right?
Mondays too.
Start over. And what helps me to get to that place is Sundays, right? Like I love, I need some form of grounding, right? My family's from the Caribbean. I was introduced to Hinduism as a child. I didn't understand why there were so many different gods. Like, why couldn't I just have like one God like everybody else? And I remember being, at my parents' temple in Queens, and the pundit, or you would call him a priest, said, do you get all of your needs met from one person? The answer is no. We do not get all of our needs met from one person, and that these deities are just a reminder that there's God in all of us, and that there's all these different ways, to see it, right? And there's even this God called Kali. And do you guys know who Kali is?
Nope.
No.
So Kali is just really, all of the Indian Hindu deities are kind of fascinating looking, right? But the
Right.
Kali one, she looks like this crazy person, and she's killing, and at the same time she's helping, and it's the reminder that we have good and evil in all of us, right? And how to connect to that. And so for me, spirituality is so important. It could be walking in the woods. It could be a couple of moments on Joel Osteen. It could be going to church with a girlfriend, right? It's like, how do I get grounded? And some of the ways that I like to make it super easy is Buddhism has lots and lots of easy ways to make it realistic, holistic tools, right? And so like one of my favorite meditations is one that you can do almost anywhere. You shouldn't do it when you're driving.
Is it the breathing one?
It's a breathing one, but your eyes
You don't
are
want to
like,
get too lightheaded
Like
while you're
Wim
driving.
Hof. I do Wim Hof ones. You know Wim Hof?
oh
Iceman?
yeah.
And he's like, hold it. And I'm like, dude, you start feeling like, I do it in the morning after my affirmations, and it's like, whoa. After
Yeah.
you're like, whoa.
Basically, you're making yourself hypoxic pretty much. Like
Awesome.
that's what
I just
David.
I feel cool right now just doing that right there.
So have you swam out in the cold water?
You know what's funny? So I'll do the cold water thing, but he says to do it slowly. I'm doing it. I'm getting there.
Okay,
You'll
cool.
see me out there,
Okay.
butt cheeks out there. One day.
All right.
Have you ever heard of the Certified Health Nut?
No.
You gotta look him up. I feel like you'd like his like whole.
Yeah, we'll show you his Instagram.
Yeah,
after.
he's out. He's like out there.
Cool.
He is. He's cool though.
This Buddhist meditation is one where you keep your eyes slightly open. So like if you think of, I guess I'm going to say this, like if you're high and your eyes are slightly closed but slightly open, right? That heavy lid allows you to just focus on one thing.
Yeah, I was just trying to do it.
Right, like that look. I should say if you're high. If you look like you're high, let's clarify this. Sorry. If you look like you're high and you got like that heavy lid thing, right? And you focus, your eyes start to focus on one thing as opposed to like everything around you.
Mm-hmm.
And how that really also just helps you to slow down your heart rate and get you out of flight and fight. So you could be in an argument with somebody. You could be waiting in the line at the grocery store, and your heart rate could be beating really fast and you're not saying what you really want to be saying. And that's a really great way to just like tune inward and reassess and come up with something, that is really coming more from your heart as opposed to something that is in a defensive way. Because I really do believe, like, when you speak from your heart, we can all, like, put our dukes down, you know? So I love that book, The Power of Awareness.
Do you, I'm going to guess the answer is no,
Okay.
but do you identify as a certain religion?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Were you raised by, like, in Hinduism?
Yeah, so, like, what I love about the Caribbean is, like, no joke, that the one love thing is a real thing. It's a real thing. And when I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, like, I was so grateful that all of the nurses' aides were all women from the Caribbean. And those were all my aunties during that time, and like honestly kept me sane. And I remember going to Trinidad growing up and going to the market, and in the market there would be Christian music and Hindu music and Muslim music and like
Rasta music.
Yeah, and then be like all of these different musics going on in the market, and everybody was one love.
Yeah.
For real. Like that's really, really what it was. And when I think my parents, they made sure that they brought us to every different kind of religious function. They brought us to Catholic, Muslim, Buddhist, Jewish, because my parents knew that my sister's a social worker, that we were two women, that we were going to have to learn how to kick ass in life if we were going to get anywhere. But we also wanted to find ways that we could connect with other people. And so my parents always exposed us to all religions, which I'm so grateful for that they did that. And so like when we have faced things like this and it continues to come up, you can find ways of like finding ways where you can connect.
Religion's one of those things where it's like people are either like super open-minded about it, right? Like I feel like I am, like I can kind of like I'll take what I can get, from any religion, or like some people are very, very closed-minded with it. It's just like it's Jesus or nothing,
or whatever,
whatever it is, and
Muhammad and whatever it is,
or you have like your atheists, obviously, who are like atheists are usually very, very strong-minded about atheism, right?
Yeah.
I know.
But no, I love talking to like people who are very like open-minded about religion, because I think like at the base of every religion, I maybe not every, because there's tons that I probably don't know about, but like, it's just like about being a good person, and then it gets convoluted with people's ideas and what other people are putting into it. But no, I just think they're all so beautiful, and like appreciate all of them, and it's just like nice to like hear like your opinion on it.
Yeah.
I mean, like the world's a kind of a fucked up place right now, and I think it really, really shows us that we need one another.
Right.
We need one another, and
I know. Not all this social distancing bullshit.
We need one
taking
another.
my First Amendment away from me. Joey Biden, Trump, all you guys.
Totally, right? All of it.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So
that one should have just been Ned Lamont.
Ned.
Oh God! don't even get me started.
Emperor Ned.
Yeah. And for me, like I have been in positions where people have wanted me to get politically involved. And I have really, really liked being a a brown skinned girl. Like it has allowed me in so many ways to be Switzerland, to allow me to have conversations that I wouldn't normally get to have,
Right.
you know, that might be inappropriate for one person to have that, you know, it's okay. It's okay for me to like ask those kinds of questions. I remember being with a bunch of my Black girlfriends and everybody showing up in their Beamer and their Mercedes. And these are like strong women. And we went out for brunch and it was, you know, they had like their standards about themselves. And later on in the day, I had rosé with my older white women at their country club. And all of these women showed up in their Beamers and their Mercedes and whatnot. And they were all sleeping with married men. And I said, I was like, as a brown girl, can I share something? Like, you're taking all of this for granted, you know, like they see their worth. They see how hard that they've had to work for their stuff. Right. And I don't really know if you guys are seeing your worth. Right. And I don't know if anybody else could have said that. Right. And, or I could ask one of my Black girlfriends about like, tell me about your hair. Like like the whole entire process, because I'm curious, right? And not because I'm trying to be racially insensitive.
Yeah.
So I want to like use those ways of finding, you know, ways to connect. Like we talked about, you know, my crew, you know, my morning crew, and you know, having conversations.
Which is a group of old white guys.
Which is a bunch of old white guys who I adore. I really, really adore, and you know, and to have conversations that neither one of us would normally get to have, you know, like use the word colored and have a conversation about like, what does that word mean? And to also come from a place of, you know, my family was from the Caribbean and the word Negro was a much more appropriate word and that was used again, like culture, right? Like why do we have to get all caught up in all of it and get angry about it all and understand that? Or, you know, the whole thing about, I remember one day, one of them saying to me about like female drivers and how terrible they are. And I was like, what does that really mean? And, you know, well, someone who's more aloof when they're driving. And if you take a look at my car, you will see that I'm an aloof driver, right? I don't always
You're
paying
like, damn,
attention.
I can't argue about that.
Right? Like I can't argue with that.
I mean, it's kind of true.
Kind of true, right?
Lie.
Right, but also, you know, helping us all to just kind of see that what like this is the season that we're in right now. What is our story that we bring to it? How can we all help each other to have a better understanding, you know? Like that's a footprint that I want to leave, you know?
Awesome.
Love it.
What's next?
Okay. Exercise without movement as taught by Sri Swami Rama. So when I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, I couldn't drive for a month afterwards. And I got to tell you, like, it's super, super humbling when you lose your freedom, right? Having someone wipe your butt, I don't highly recommend. Really,
I'm sure it'll happen once in my life.
I don't, and hopefully you're not cognizant that it's happening.
I hope
right?
not.
You're hoping it's not happening, and like when you talk about freedom and independence, and part of that sometimes has to be of what's my freedom and independence of what I have right now. Right. And so I didn't drive for a whole entire month, and I had to figure out, you know, I was somebody who, like you said, you knew me from the gym. Like I like to work out. I like to work out hard, and I couldn't do all those things because my body wasn't ready for those things. And how do I then create movement without movement?
Right.
And so that's where this book came into play. And it was just that reminder of that story I told you guys about that marble and not being able to move. And what was I, you know, really doing? I remember when I had to finally give in and have a hysterectomy that I tried for so long to I had my first cancer was uterine cancer. I held off for 5 years from trying to get pregnant and cancer free. Like I fought, like it was working. And I was going to be one of my, my success stories that my business has been able to tell other people like success stories.
Right.
And like just getting to be comfortable with what actually is, this book has been really helpful with moving when you can't always move.
Got it.
So my niece, who I adore, Katie Zampolin, shout out to Katie.
Shout out, Katie.
Is a senior at Wake Forest, and she's a business major. And she gave me this book, and the book is called Influencer: Building Your Personal Brand in the Age of Social Media. You guys know this book?
No, but I'm familiar with the topic.
Yep. And do you know who Brittany Hennessy is?
I do not.
Okay.
Do you?
So this, I guess, is like a really popular book with entrepreneurs, and also is a business book. And I've always had an aversion to the word influencer. I didn't really want to have to
Just looking her up.
Take a picture of me and my avocado toast. And I had to really decide about, like, my husband's a super private person, about what do I share and what do I not share. That is my family. And in this book, there's other things besides influencers. There's words like lifecasters, there's words like expert, and there are other ways that you can actually use social media to expand. So this book actually helped to change the way that I looked at that ugly word influencer. For sure.
Yeah.
This was a really cool book.
This is real quick. Another thing that we were talking about with Angie, I think, like, you know what I mean? Being like an influencer, like you always think of somebody who has 1 million followers or whatever it is, but it's like everybody's has that sort of influence over it. Even if it's a small group of people, like your influence goes to them, from them to other people, you know what I mean? So it's like you don't need to be an Instagram influencer or like whatever to be an
impact.
influencer.
Yeah.
Totally.
Or to have an impact on something, It's just, I think like word of mouth, if you want to call it influence, is the best type of advertisement for yourself or your business. Like that's the best way.
I mean, that's why I'm still in business, is
Right.
because of, word of mouth. And again, back to that word, influence, and like who influences us. One of my friend's daughters is 12 years old. And when I first got diagnosed with uterine cancer, I was really mad that there were all these people doing their GoFundMe page and getting all this sympathy. And I was like, where is this duality with me, where I wanted people to know, but then I was also wanted my privacy. And we created Uterisa, who is literally a superhero. So if you go on my website, there's there's a cartoon version of me with the uterus on my chest. And she is the girl's guide to her superpowers and really understanding, there's a reason why, fellas, that at one time of the month we are totally psycho. And why?
Really? I never knew that. That happens?
And why?
That's when the 80-20 rule goes away and you eat all that chocolate ice cream.
It's 100 to nothing.
But that chocolate ice cream thing is about the magnesium, so that's a whole other thing.
Got it.
And what's going on with your period, and then there's parts of your cycle where you're so brilliant, and how do you really? And there's like certain cultures, like Hasidic Jews and Hindus, like they create a woman's cycle very differently than our American cycle, about like go, regardless of what's going on with your body, right? And so this 12-year-old, like this relationship with this 12-year-old, like allowed me to then, I'm now going to start doing some social emotional lesson plans for Westport, because she spoke up about how it's hard to speak up. And she also, gave me some insight, but then also created my gift bags that I have in my office. And I said to her, bags by Mags, Maggie, should we do Sabita Holistic Center? Should we do the flower? And she's like, I think you should just do the flower, because not everybody likes a label. And I think more people will like it. And so I thought I was going to be spending like 30 to 50 cents on this sticker with this 12-year-old. And the sticker comes out to $1.50. And I'm like, Maggie, how am I going to make money on this? I want to do this, but I really didn't want to spend that much. And she's like, well, why don't you kind of think of it as like IKEA? You know, IKEA, they give you the bag, you fill it up, and then at the end you're like, you know what, I'm going to buy the bag. And that's really how I've incorporated bags,
idea.
my mags,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, I mean,
cute.
it's changed like my whole entire thought, like my whole hatred, you know, and you know, reflecting on why am I hating on that? So this book has really been helpful, you know, for that.
Cool.
This is a cool book, The Automatic Customer, Creating Subscription Businesses in Any Industry. And I was on my honeymoon, and we were in Vieques at the W, and it was such a crazy cool spot, and it was full of so many entrepreneurs. It was like all entrepreneurs, and there were 4 different people reading this book at the time, which I thought was really cool. And I think that, you know, the way that we all find a way not to burn out is to find ways to scale and to find ways to create systems. So this is a really cool book that allows you to think about that and what are the different ways that you can create systems and have who doesn't want an automated customer? Like, right? Like
Just a recurring customer.
yeah, a reoccurring customer. Like who doesn't want that? So I think that was a really, really cool book. Another book I did not read because again, I want to save it, right? Like we're doing that tease thing right now, right?
Yeah.
Was written by 2 doctors, and the book was printed in 2018. And it talked about that the next war that we were going to have to, I don't know if we talked about this, the next war that we were going to have to fight was going to be an airborne war. And
So
why?
weird how people can predict it.
Right? And why is that happening? Why are we going to have like an airborne, like, why is that, right? Because of travel and so like it's connecting all of us. And this book really talks about like the only thing that you can really do is strengthen your immune system, period. That's really all that you can do. So I'm going to hold back because I'm using parts of that book to create more of a build out on my business of big business burnout that allows companies to really help their employees really look at their heart rate variables, all these little techniques that you can do. So the reality is insurance companies don't want to pay for pre-existing conditions, and things like diabetes and high blood pressure and all these things that are controllable cost a lot of money. So there's like this duality of what the hell, you want someone sitting at their desk for 10, 12 hours, even though it's going to create all of these health issues, and how do we find a way for them to figure out, okay, we want to reduce our health care, we want to help our people, but we also need the reality, we want to bust ass. And how do you like make that a realistic, holistic thing? So hold out
Like
on
it.
that one.
Can't wait to hear more about that.
Right?
I know. Seriously.
Yeah. And then my last book, again, is another book from my adorable, sweet, I Want to Come Back as Katie Zampolin book, How Brands Grow, What Marketers Don't Know, which I think is also a really cool book that, again, allows you to get really simple about what makes you you and to hone on that and to find out where the need is and how do you then best present yourself to fill in that need.
Awesome.
Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Before we finish up,
Yeah.
one, where can people find information about your business or any of your social media stuff?
Very cool. Please follow me on Instagram at Realistic Holistic Chick. I am also on LinkedIn. My website is sabitaholisticcenter.com. Same thing for Facebook.
Gotcha.
Oh, and if you want to come and get a treatment at the Funky Pink House,
3519 Post Road, Southport.
there you go. Just mention this podcast and we'll give you 20% off to all of our friends and family here.
Wow,
Awesome.
that's fire.
Thank you.
You heard that,
Woo-woo.
guys? Because it's fire over there.
Exactly.
It's dope.
The second
Yes,
second
this is-
question that we're
yes.
starting to ask people on our podcast is what we've already gone over this, so
Yeah.
you don't have to answer this question.
Yes.
Is what book do you recommend? And then our third question, which was our only question before that we're now asking everybody, is if you could go back to your 20-year-old self And give yourself one.
I love
piece of
everybody's
advice.
reaction when they
Yeah, I
hear
know.
that.
It's like
They're like,
drop this bomb right at the end. I thought we were done.
Don't allow anything to be videoed. That's my
Yo, real talk though. For like we didn't have to deal with all that.
Yeah,
when
we
were
didn't.
young. Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah. Real talk. What would I say to my 20-year-old self as mistakes that I made or what?
Whatever, just advice.
Yeah, somebody yesterday asked if like they could go back and tell them like one thing that they should know today, what it would be.
Okay. So what I would say is that be present, and time is not unlimited. It's totally not unlimited. Like I love that we are in a world of girl power and you can have it all, but not for nothing. Like you only get so many eggs. Your ovaries dry up at a certain point in time, and that you really do have to think about family planning if you think that that might be something that you want to do in your life. You really honestly do have to really think about that in your 20s.
Yeah.
Because like it drives me nuts right now. Like when I see that, you know, it's like, oh, no worries. I'll just go and do IVF, and I'll just freeze. You know, there's a reason why they give you a stack full of things that you sign off on when you do that, because studies show that you might get ovarian cancer. You know, you might be, you know, bringing these things into your life. So again, like just knowing what, like the reality of knowing the pros and cons of what you're doing. You know, like I always tell my women that, you know, want to have this is maybe not the best way to end this, but, but like, you know, have sex with anybody that you want to have sex with. But each time you put a new penis inside your body, it creates a new inflammation. It creates like more scar tissue. And you're not thinking about that. So, you know, I would say like
They're definitely not.
They're
They're not like another scar tissue gone.
Right? Because it's like it's a foreign thing into your body. It's a foreign thing into your body. And that's the reason why like some people, again, this is how we're ending this.
That's fine. I love it.
I didn't think it was going in that direction.
Yeah.
But let's do it.
Yeah.
But you know, like why when you have sex with some people, there's a smell, and why there's some people, there's no smell. Like there's like a pH thing going on, right? So I would say like just be aware of your choices. Is this really how I'm ending this?
So to sum it up,
be aware of your choices.
To sum it up, be selective with who you're having sex with.
Yes.
Make sure you have a plan for raising a family.
Yes.
Right?
If you want that in your life.
If you want that in your life, right? Figure out when you're going to do it. Don't wait too long, and do it organically.
Yes.
And do it organically.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So
Perfect. There you go. And that.
we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys so
Thank you
much,
for coming
guys.
on.
Like, subscribe. We love you. See you soon. Peace.
Matter of fact, you better sign that waiver. Whoa. I gotta sign the waiver. I'm in the booth.